Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the live stream for June of 2017, June 11th. I haven't had one of these live streams or haven't held one of them in quite a while, so I thought today, why don't I do one of these live streams to see how many of you guys are still sticking around. So, right off the bat, let me just quickly stream onto the Facebook group, which is in the description below. I'm just going to go ahead and send out a message to everyone out there that's in the Facebook group. Going live today with a live stream and paste in the link. So let me just get the link over here. And I should be good to go here. Okay, so let's see how many of you guys are in the channel right now. I have about 8 of you guys, and I'm just looking at the chat over here. So I think the mic stereo is off balance. Yeah, for some reason, the input and the output is a little off, and I can't exactly tell why. So how's everyone doing? I've been experiencing a lot of microphone problems lately, so this is why I'm kind of reverting back to this Blue Yeti microphone that's a silver dome that's shaped like a cylinder. So today's video, I wanted to quickly go over some of the new machines, new hardware updates that Apple has announced recently in their WWDC conference talk. And I wanted to know whether or not you guys are going to upgrade to the latest machines that are out there. I personally don't have the cash or the money to, even upgrade or even think about upgrading. So I'm gonna hold off on the upgrades, but I'm gonna look at what these specs are for the new machines. Yeah, so Philip Carlino iMac Pro is crazy. Yeah, I do agree that some of the machines, the hardware that's in them, it's kind of crazy. I would really like to get my hands on that iMac Pro, which is about $5,000 base price, and just wonder how much faster that would make the development process. The current machine I have, and I've mentioned this in the previous videos, it's a 2012 MacBook Pro. I bought it for about $2,500. I'm thinking about it now. $2,500 doesn't seem like a whole lot of money, right? I wouldn't mind getting the upgrade. And in fact, I might pull the trigger later on if I feel like I need an excuse for a new toy. But currently my machine develops or runs the code, compiles the code, launches the simulator at a really, really acceptable pace. So I don't really see a super significant reason for me to start thinking about hardware upgrades. So that's kind of what I am thinking about these past couple of days. Mac Pro is really expensive. And the other thing is that I don't really know what the trash can Mac is called. I think that is the Mac Pro. And basically the modular Mac Pro that allows you to upgrade the RAM, the hard drive, and the other components inside. I would like to see how much that is, and I'd like to see the base configuration for what that machine looks like. And then I'll consider whether or not an upgrade is justifiable. Yeah, the audio seems to be a little off, huh? So I'm going to see what I can do about this. Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out what is going on here. So I'm going to turn on the channel mixer. This is going to allow the left and right channel to have audio coming out at the same time. So yeah, so a lot of you guys are also asking about whether or not your Mac machines are good enough. I think I think depending on what your situation is, any MacBook Pro that allows you to launch Xcode, Xcode 8, Xcode 9 is okay. When I was teaching boot camp, a lot of my students had the right. Okay, I'm on the right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the audio coming from the right side. So I think the audio is not so great this time around. I'm still trying to figure out everything that's going wrong with my mixer. So let's go ahead and pull up the browser here. So let me just turn this guy on, drag myself to the left a little bit. And let's see what I can do here. Okay. And let me bring this browser in. So here is the Facebook group for anyone that's interested in joining. And let's tab over to the MacBook page, which is right here. So the new MacBook is definitely a lot sexier than the old versions. And I think, let me see what I can do here. I'm just gonna block out the chat for now. And the touch of genius is what they are sloganing the new MacBook Pro with. A thing that I am still a little bit curious about is the touch bar at the very top of these machines. I'm not really convinced about the actual specifics of the touch bar. I prefer the actual keys, the actual physical keys. I don't think I can show you guys. The F1 keys and the escape key. Having something physical is, I think, what I'm more used to. So it's hard to just go back to a digital or go and upgrade to a digital key at the very top. So a lot of nice upgrades such as the screen, display, how bright it gets, up to 10 hours of battery life. That's certainly not what I get when I'm developing code and compiling code at the same time. I find that I probably get like 5 to 6 hours on my current 2012 machine, which I think is okay. I don't really develop on the machine a whole lot, or I don't have the machine unplugged a whole lot, so it's always plugged in, and I just run the code off of my 40-inch display. So a revolutionary new way to use your Mac. Again, the touch bar is something that I don't have yet, and I also most of the time I have my machine closed, so I don't even have access to the touch bar. So a lot of touch bar advertisements, and they're really trying to push the touch bar to new users as an excuse or a reason to justify purchasing a new MacBook Pro. So here is the more interesting spec for the new MacBook. It comes in at a 3.2 gigabyte speeds, SSD read speeds, and then also a processor of 4.1 gigahertz with turbo boost. Those are two legitimate reasons why I would consider buying a new machine. Although these upgrades aren't actually all that much better than the older machines. And a new eye-opening graphics performance. Can't really tell what the heck this is. I think this is Final Cut Pro. I'm not a big video game person, so 3D graphics doesn't matter to me so much. Speedy SSD storage, snaps everything. So the biggest thing about these new MacBook Pro machines, and if you're a developer, is that the hard drive plays an important role in terms of the compile speed and the run speed of your applications. So if you're still on a MacBook Air or a Mac Mini, you'll notice that the compile times take a lot longer. And then if you upgrade to an SSD hard drive, which is a solid state disk storage mechanism versus the old platter disks, the solid state is just, I don't know, maybe 5 times, 6 times as fast as a hard drive speed or a standard hard drive. And then way back then, when I used to build my own machines, I had these old 7200 RPM platter disk hard drives, the old really, really thick ones. And those did really, really, like they performed fine until SSDs started coming out, and then everyone kind of got their hands on one. And now you can buy a 1 terabyte SSD for about, I think, $200. It used to be maybe $1,000 back then, but as technology develops and improves, a lot of hardware parts become a lot cheaper. So, how many of you guys think that these spec upgrades are a good reason for upgrading? Man, 4.1 gigahertz turbo boost processing. That's insanely fast, right? So I don't really care about battery life again. Cooling, I've never really had a problem with overheating in my MacBook machines. Even though they do sometimes get insanely hot, I've never had a problem with overheating. Brightest LCD display. What is this? The 500 nits brightness. Again, most of the time my MacBook machine is actually closed, so I don't really get the performance upgrades with the screen display. Unfortunately, that's how it is for me. Speakers that speak for themselves, kind of a cheesy tagline right there. But I don't know. I haven't really had a chance to test out the new speakers. I assume they're good. Everyone has positive feedback, or the reviews for the speakers are quite good. So more expansive trackpad, the gigantic trackpad. I tested it out at the store. Seemed to be decent. Yeah. Thunderbolt 3. The new machine only comes with a 4 USB ports, and then we have the 5K displays. Okay, and that's kind of it for the new MacBook Pro machines. I would like to take a look at the iMacs, which should be somewhere up here. So iMac Pro. Wow, so this is the biggest announcement in terms of hardware for WWDC of 2017. And if you scroll through the page, powered to the Pro. Let me see what's going on. 18 cores in a Mac. No, that's not a typo. Yeah, this is insanely fast. Again, this machine, I believe the base price is about $5,000. But I mean, if any of you guys want to donate some money to the channel via the super chat thing, so let's see. Let me just shrink this box down a little bit and bring the chat back into the screen here. Okay, just move over some of these windows. Yeah, 42 megs of cache, turbo boost up to 4.5 gigahertz. Oh my god, that's insanely fast. Vega graphics, which is a really, really decent upgrade. Significant upgrade over the previous graphics card. And again, I don't really care about the graphics card so much. Our virtual reality gets real. And then we have more memory for massive projects. Up to 128 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM. That's pretty crazy, right? My current machine has only 16 gigs of RAM. I'm just really wondering what 128 gigs of RAM will do. 4 terabytes of SSD. So my machine only has 512 gigabytes. So this is about 8 times as much. Okay, serious work. So yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's kind of what the new machine looks like. Um, the nice thing about this iMac Pro is that it comes with a 5K display. Although the screen size isn't all that large, it's still really nice to have a 5K display to truly render out what your apps look like, and also some of the design files that you get look a lot different on a real 5K 4K display compared to a 1080 display. Okay. So, okay, let me just look at the tech specs and notify me. It seems like you can't really purchase this until they release it onto the store. Okay, so let me get to the chat here. Is graphics card make build process faster? For the most part, the graphics card doesn't really play a huge part in standard video game development or standard application development. If you start to get into like video game development, it'll allow your games to perform faster on your machine. Fix the sound. Volume only in the left ear. So let me see what I can do with the channel mixer here. And I think I can do something like this, maybe. Okay, I think some of the audio is gonna be a little bit louder in the right ear now. Ryan James says, the wife thinks you have an accent, but I keep telling her you don't have one. I think everyone seems to have an accent of some kind. And I probably do have an accent if you are really strict about what accents are. Yeah. Yeah, so Evel Jeremy says that wouldn't it be better to buy a 2018 MacBook Pro since it will be modular? So that's something that I would like to see when it comes out. The most important part is what exactly is the base configuration for these MacBook Pros or Mac Pros, right? Okay. I'm gonna go fix something in the kitchen real fast. I'll be right back. Yeah, so I'm trying to cook at the same time while I hold a live stream. She thinks she hears a French accent. Maybe I do sound like a Frenchman, but I don't know. Noodles are burning. Now I'm just trying to boil some. What am I making? Spare ribs. And I'm just kind of stewing them to make sure they come out nice and tender. I would like to invite you guys to join me when the dish is complete. However, it does take a while to make, and maybe I'll hold a cooking channel or a live stream while I cook above the stove and answer you guys' question. I think that might be a more interesting live stream. One of these days, I'll try to do something like that. Short ribs, is there mac and cheese? Man, you guys are making me really, really hungry. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So let's see. My wife is Chinese and she makes the best ribs. Cooking and coding. All right. So we have an iOS question. When you write a bunch of extensions for a project, how do you organize them all in one file, all separate? So that's a good question. And I've always been following a practice where I just add a plus sign and then add the extension's behavior as a name for the file. And Apple actually follows the same practice with their extension file naming systems and their conventions. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Xcode 9 beta and show you guys one of their drag and drop examples right here. And I'll show you what their naming convention looks like. So let me see by changing perhaps this guy to Xcode right there. Put that over there. So I'm going to block out my entire face for just a few seconds here. And you see a lot of these extension files right here. The drag board view controller, it starts off as just a plain old drag board view controller here. And then it has to do some drag and drop setup. And then the drop delegate is an extension file right here. And then the drag delegate is UI drag interaction delegate here. And then they also have a paste configuration or a bunch of methods for their pasting extension. So that's how they've decided to set up their project. And this is just an example project that you can download on Apple's developer website. And this is the convention that I've always been following for the last year and a half. And this comes from Objective-C. And Objective-C had this plus and this minus sign for their what are extensions called in Objective-C? I can't really remember. Yeah, whatever they were called. This is how they named their files. Okay, so let me see how many of you guys are still in the the live stream here. So I'm not going to have an extremely long live stream today, and it's already gone for 22 minutes. Probably cut it off at somewhere around 30 to 40 minutes. So if you guys want to get your questions in, I'll try to answer them one at a time. And also, I just came back from the Alt conference where I gave a talk, and it was an interesting talk. So let me just push this back to the back. And perhaps I'll do a video on the things that I talked about at AltConf, which was next door to WWDC, in a later video. All right, Ben Clary. Thanks for joining to the stream today. How do you send a super chat? Send $2. This needs the funds. So what do I think about ARKit? I tried to run it a couple of times, but it requires a device that has a A9 processor chip in it. And the only machine that I have that has an A9 processor is my iPhone right here. And unfortunately, I do not want to upgrade or update my iPhone to iOS 11 beta just yet. And so I would prefer not to update my phone. So I haven't really had the chance to test out ARKit. I've looked at the code for just, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. And it looks somewhat okay. Just like every other Apple library that's out there, it looks really easy to just dive in and start coding. Yeah, but aside from that, I think ARKit looks a little bit difficult to understand. That's maybe because I don't have a whole lot of experience in augmented reality. So a lot of the concepts in terms of figuring out what, like for example, the top of this microphone, it's probably called a plane or some kind of spherical plane. And to put an object on top of this microphone, you have to know exactly what libraries to call. So things like that, I just don't have the experience in doing it, but it'll be very, very easy using ARKit to start putting things on top of the real world. Yeah. And ideally, I would like to get out a tutorial on how to set up the basics of ARKit. And if I can do that, that'd be great. Okay, next question. Is language Kotlin like Swift? So Kotlin is very similar to Swift in its, I guess, philosophy, ideologies. And if you're looking to get into Android development, you should really think about learning Kotlin instead of Java, or learn it at the same time you're learning Java. Google just came out and is officially supporting Kotlin as one of the developing languages of Android. So I think it's a good investment if you want to get into Android development. Kotlin is it's an easy language to learn, and I've been able to build a couple of basic applications with it, and it seemed fairly similar to what Java development looks like. So I think if you know Java, it'd be easy to pick up as well. How to get link for all sample code from WWDC. You just want to make sure you watch the correct videos on Apple's developer website, and then right below the video, they provide you a link to all of the sample projects related to the video. I don't really know if you can download every project in some kind of source code file. I'm very intrigued about core machine learning, so core ML, but I find it pretty difficult to wrap my head around the code. Do you think you will do some tutorials on it in this channel? I've never been a huge machine learning person. It just hasn't really come up in my development experience. So if I had some very interesting applications for me to start using ML, machine language, or machine learning, it'd be an interesting way to segue into tutorials for the channel, but don't really have too much experience. Eli Whittle, thanks for the $5 donations. Thanks for all of the great videos. Yeah, the next couple of videos I want to pump out for the channel have to do with drag and drop, and these are just some new features included in Xcode 9 and iOS 11. And the thing about drag and drop is that it's a lot more useful on an iPad. So I'll be using the simulator and just showing you guys how easy it is to incorporate dragging and dropping inside of your applications. All right, Johan Albrechtsen, thanks for the kronars. I still haven't looked at what a DKK unit is. So yeah, Eli and Johan, they've been in the channel for I think quite a while. So Johan says, when are you releasing Kotlin tutorials? So I just got back from that China vacation where I think I spent a total of 19 days overseas. And the moment I got back to the States, back to California, I just couldn't really get myself to do anything. Danish kroners. So I'm finally getting accustomed to the California time zone again, and the time difference that was really kind of throwing me in this strange loop. So now that I'm slightly adjusted back I think I can start pushing out more videos, more tutorials, and start preparing things again for the channel. And then once I get a decent Kotlin project up, I'll put up a Kotlin tutorial on probably a separate channel. So we have Riff. What library are you using for dependency injection? So I don't use any libraries for dependency injection. And the good thing about not having to use a storyboard is that you can set up your own dependencies through your own constructors. So just build it out yourself, and I think you'll be fine. The world of Swift and iOS isn't like Java. There aren't like 50,000 libraries that you can just automatically download and start using as your backbone for your application. I think for Java, we used to use Goose or Juice for dependency injection. I think that's what the library was called. From what I've heard, software development interviews are largely based on knowledge of algorithms. Is this same with mobile positions, or are they more focused on platform-specific knowledge? So that's a really good question. I could spend like an hour talking about that. And again, I think you are correct in stating that software development interviews you have to be good at algorithms, and you have to have a decent knowledge in algorithms to actually pass. I find that mobile positions, for example, iOS or Android developer positions, they are probably half algorithm based, and then the other half is like design based. So things like how would you handle multi-threading? How would you handle asynchronously fetching data from the internet? How would you make it efficient so that your UI doesn't hang while you're loading data from like multiple sources? So that's more of a mobile thing. Although it does exist on the web at the same time, but it's more common to be asked that in some kind of mobile interview. RAM management. The thing about memory on an iDevice, like an iPhone or an iPad, is that you just have to make sure you don't have either retained cycles, and you're also not loading too much data at the same time on your device. After a certain point, the OS will terminate your app if it's using too much memory, and also if it's holding on to a lot of memory. When you switch to another application, it'll kill off the app that is having the largest memory footprint. If you are using OBS to stream this live, make sure to set your mic to down mix and mono, and your mixer settings should be the gear button. Yeah, I'm still going through a couple of different microphones and an audio mixer that I just can't get right. I think I bought a defective Rode microphone. So this is a Rode microphone. It's currently just, wasting a lot of time for me trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So anyone that wants to buy a microphone, probably, try not investing in one of these Rode microphones, because I've been doing a lot of research and they seem to have a lot of problems. So, 5 Swift libraries I use the most. Probably Alamo-Fire, and the rest I can probably do without. Okay, Bruce Nell. Are you involved in like paperwork part of software development, such as diagrams and such, or do you just like work from abstract concept? The thing about mobile development is that you have to consider the visual design, and then what UI kit components to develop the visual design with, and then you also have to consider what the database looks like and how you should architect the mobile app to reflect what the server side of things should actually be. So it's a good combination of, UI work and also good architecture work. So that's kind of why I like mobile development a lot. Do you intend to release Let's Build that Android app in the future? That might be what I call the channel. So, clone some Android apps like Twitter and show step by step how to do it. I am trying to get my hands on a decent Android device so I can test out all of these apps with. And I have an Android tablet, but I don't have an up-to-date Android device yet. So once I get my hands on those, I can really start to dive into Android tutorials. And unlike when I was at my last company, they just gave me a budget for Android machines. I can buy like 5 different Android devices. And then the budget just allowed me to buy like the most expensive one. And then I didn't even have to pull out my own credit card. I just used the company credit card to buy one. And now that I'm working for myself, it's not that easy. Yeah. Okay, so we are coming close to the 40-minute mark, and I really didn't want to go over 40 minutes today. So I'm going to answer about 1 or 2 more questions, and then I'm going to exit out of this live stream. The Gaming Bro asks, why do you not use a storyboard? So this question again, very interesting to always get this question. The whole reason for not using a storyboard is because as iOS programmers, iOS developers, we want to get better at developing and programming with code. If you're using a storyboard, you're really not giving yourself the chance to learn how coding works. So being a programmer means you have to program, which means you have the code. Try to not depend so much on these visual helpers. I think coding is a lot of fun. So, try to enjoy the coding process while you can. Okay, how long do you think Kotlin will take to surpass Java in Android development? I think probably a year or 2, and then Kotlin will be the standard, just like how Swift sort of took over as a standard for Android development or iOS development. Whichever one you do buy, you could claim on your taxes. That's true. I will probably buy a medium or a mid-tier Android device. I would like to get my hands on a Samsung S8 or S9 whenever that comes out, and then I can, have an excuse for spending a lot more time on Android tutorials. Am I Asian? Hopefully you guys can tell by my complexion, my yellow skin and black hair, that I am indeed an Asian person. Promise Kit, I think Ray Wenderlich's website has some good tutorials on that. Can you please repeat your last statement? Should I get a Mac for first year computer engineering? Well, if you need to develop an iOS application, you probably need a Mac of some kind. So, all right. Coming close to the 40-minute mark. And I just wanted to thank everyone for joining the stream today. It's been a while since I've done one of these guys, and it's been a lot of fun to just see all of you guys around. And it seems like a lot of you guys are new faces to the channel. Why are Asians so smart? Well, I don't think Asians are smart. Or this question here is kind of strange, the way it's phrased, and the way a lot of people ask this question, like, why is X race so good at this particular thing, right? And Asians are smart because of genetics, and so that's not necessarily true. And I'll go on this last rant about race before I leave. So the thing about Asians, it's not really because they're inherently smarter than any other race. The reason why Asians seem smart is because the Asian work ethic is it's unlike any other race that I've come to know. Asians put an extreme amount of guilt on people that don't perform in society. And in American society, that doesn't tend to happen. Everyone seems to be a lot more free in terms of what they want to do with their lives. And when you're growing up as an Asian kid in a kind of an Asian upbringing, your parents will tend to just tell you that if you don't get good grades in school, if you don't become a doctor, if you don't become an engineer, you're kind of a failure in life. So that type of thinking doesn't exist in American society. And in like Chinese culture, in Vietnamese culture, in Korean culture, in Japanese culture, you really bring dishonor to the entire Asian heritage if you don't perform in society. So a lot of Asians have this this pressure to perform, and that's why they kind of rise to the top. And at the same time, I had plenty of friends that didn't complete their high school education. They didn't get a bachelor's degree. Some of them didn't even attend college. A lot of them didn't finish college or didn't attend universities. So I don't think that there are a lot more smarter Asian people. When I was attending UC Berkeley for my college education, I had a pretty diverse group of people in my math and computer science courses. So, a lot of white faces, a lot of yellow faces, a lot of Indian faces. And then we had, a couple of African Americans and a couple of Africans that also performed really well. So I really wish the landscape of computer engineers, I really wish there were more, I really wished it was more diverse. So affirmative action, I don't exactly know if that's a great thing. It's kind of reverse discrimination. And you kind of see it happening in, I guess, the industry for women. A lot of women that are trying to get into programming and coding, they're given a bigger, I guess, an advantage in terms of hiring. So I know in a lot of my previous companies, when we were trying to hire more developers, and whenever some female applied to a developer position, everyone was just really excited to hire on a female developer. Not the same type of excitement for men. So, am I a feminist? Not really a feminist. I think that I know women who weren't given coding challenges. Am I a social justice warrior? I'm not really a feminist, and I'm not really a SJW, social justice warrior either. And I'm not really, I live in San Francisco, but I don't really subscribe to a lot of the philosophies of the California and San Francisco life. I really think that you should work hard for whatever you want. So if you're a female, if you're a woman, and if you're not as good as another developer, whether or not it's a male or female, you should probably not get the position that you're applying for. And I just really feel like I really believe in a meritocracy, society that is based on merits, and the amount of work that you put in should be the amount of compensation that you get. So, yeah, I don't really want to get involved in it too much. Just work as hard as you can to get wherever you want to be. And I think I've hired people just based on that fact, and I've fired people based on that fact at the same time. Okay, last question. How helpful were the programming and engineering classes you took at Berkeley? And I'm only answering this because I think it's an interesting question. So I find that the programming classes in UC Berkeley were extremely helpful because they were extremely hard. And I think out of the 500 people that start out in the first programming class in UC Berkeley, which is CS61A, I believe, I think only a third of them remained in the entire class. So the intro to programming at UC Berkeley, extremely difficult. I think I got an A- in that class. So definitely felt like I was in the right place, although I didn't graduate with a CS degree. Extremely hard. So, and looking back on that class, man, yeah, it was really hard. So, and then I also get this question a lot: where did you study Swift? So anyone that's a developer already knows that. For example, if you're a JavaScript developer, or if you're someone that just develops professionally, you'll notice that probably 100% of what you do professionally, you never really learned in school. So that's kind of all I have to say for that. And I'll see everyone probably next week or 2 weeks from now. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their summer break. And that's going to be it for today. I'll see you guys probably Monday or Tuesday. And the next Swift course. So I finished off the what do I want to call it? The Instagram course, which is this guy right here. So the Instagram course, which is here, currently has about 40 episodes. I think technically it has 39 episodes, which ends on this grid view versus the list view. And so I'm thinking about including some extra lessons on, things like pagination and other topics that have been brought up. And whenever I finish off that, I'll probably do a course on MapKit and how to search locations and things like that. So anyone that's interested in checking out these courses, make sure to check out this course and learn how to build out the Instagram app. So that's all I'm going to talk about for today. Okay, last question. When you say the classes were hard, was it pace? You guys are learning volume of work or just complicated theory? A combination of all the three. Learning scheme, learning recursive programming. Definitely something that you don't encounter until you get into the CS programming for UC Berkeley. Yeah, there's no sound for the right ear. The pacing is also hard because, it was definitely hard for me because I transferred into the UC Berkeley system. And then because I transferred, my very first year, I took this computer science course, so I wasn't used to the pacing of UC Berkeley education. Definitely a lot faster than community college. So getting used to that was difficult for me. But again, I passed the class with an A-, so I thought I did pretty well. All right. And then the volume of work. I don't think the volume of work was all that much, but in kind of combined with the rest of the classes that you're taking at the same time, it just feels much, much, much harder to get everything done. All right. Thanks everyone for joining today, and I'll see you guys in the next